Hello everyone, my name is Devin Kraus, and for the past 4 years I've been trying to become an animator. If you're watching this video expecting a tutorial, then you're in the wrong place. But that doesn't mean you won't find something you might be looking for. This isn't a how-to series or just a bunch of random tutorials, although I might do some tutorials in a few weeks once I've had a little bit of practice. No, this is more of a documentation of my journey to becoming an animator. I will, however, be linking any and all books, online courses, tutorials, animations, animators, and anything else that I use in these videos. So with that said, welcome to An Animator in the Making. So this week started out as any ordinary week, where I just kind of started doing pose drawings while thinking of what else to make. While doing pose drawings, I kind of thought about that Hollow Knight inspired king I made last week, or I guess the week before that because I missed last week's video. While I was designing him originally, I kind of wanted to design something that was reminiscent of the Hollow Knight character, but make it its own thing. So the king character isn't really a bug like in the Hollow Knight games. He's more of just kind of a black silhouette kind of character. And I wanted to make kind of a character like that because I found it very inspiring knowing that you could just make something simple. Like if you've never seen the Hollow Knight characters, just look them up. They're very basic shapes. Like they don't have hands or feet, they just have like little nubs for limbs. And it made like a really compelling story from it. Like just look up the first cutscene of the game, but it's so amazing how well they were able to do art in that game with such limited characters. Like just look at the head of the Hollow Knight character. It's just a round ball. They just took two horns and drew it out of it. And the eyes are just blank circles. That's all they are. But they elicit like just that feeling of emptiness and kind of like dread in the character, even though you don't know what he's been facing. So that's why I originally kind of wanted to capture kind of something like that. So that's where it kind of inspired me to design the king. In this video, I actually mostly work on the queen. I actually had concept art from an old one that I made a few months ago. She was kind of inspired more of from some other characters in Hollow Knight. I wanted to give her kind of a more official or kind of like a higher status feel, so I made her really tall and kind of foreboding to make it seem more serious of a character. But it just kind of seemed more like a villain. It just came out kind of like this is a maniacal, evil kind of person or someone who looks down on people. So I kind of revisited the design. So what you're seeing here is just me working on the silhouette of a character. And if you actually look into silhouetting in characters, it's a very important aspect of it. Because if your character you can be recognized from just one glance at the silhouette, then it can be recognized in any art format. There are other videos on YouTube that cover this, but long story short, if you take a very popular character, draw it in any other art form, and then take the original artwork of the character and put it into like a black silhouette, and take your work or someone else's work that they did of it and put it in a black silhouette, you'll be able to tell the character is the same character, just in a different art form. Let's do Sonic the Hedgehog, which would be very obvious because he's so unique. You'd see his quills immediately and recognize it, just because that's kind of his status on his head, just quills going back. Or Mario, he's got the hat, he's got the gloves, and if you drew his mustache and big nose, that'd be recognizable in almost anything. But Mario has been done in many art forms. I mean, I've seen him in Disney shows, Cartoon Network shows, Nickelodeon. He's always referenced somewhere, even Sonic the Hedgehog is. And they're recognizable as a reference because you know those characters and you know their design. You know they have the big mustache, this is Mario of course, the big mustache, the hat, the nose, the mustache.
No!
The silhouette of the character is something you should always start with. Now, as you can see in this new design, I kept a lot of the same elements as starting out. I changed the crown a little bit because I felt the old one was too big. And then I shrank down the head because I felt like it was more inviting. It was something that felt like an authoritative figure, but not really something that felt like standing down, looking down on you, and not caring. I just wanted to give it a little friendlier of a look. I debated for a while whether or not I should keep the nub hands like the Hollow Knight characters, or just give the character hands. On the King character, I never got around to giving him hands, but if I'd go back to him and work on it, I'd probably give him like round hands, because that's what the original design had. I should have put it on screen now that I'm thinking about it. I'll probably put it in post-editing and have it on screen for you guys. One thing that I wanted to kind of capture with the king was just those designs on his arms. I didn't know what to do with them, so I mostly left them alone. Kind of shrunk down the line art a little bit though, because they were just a little too bold. The part on his lower stomach, I didn't know what to do with that either. So I just started playing around with it, duplicating it, rotating it, just messing around with it to see what I got. I finally got a design I think I like and I'll probably keep. Next I started working on the cape and the kind of chain holding it up. I put what looks like the cape hanging and when the pins are pinning it on. So I did that and then duplicated the design part and put it on the chain so it just wasn't this yellow spot on his shoulder. That way it gave it kind of the effect that it was some embroidery on it like an art piece. I didn't like the original angle of it, so I angled it up a little better and then did the same with the design. The cape I tried to give a waving kind of feel to, but then I tried going into Moho and just making one that would actually react to wind, because Moho 13.5 has that. I couldn't make it work though. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. So inevitably I kind of quit on that in the end. You're going to see that for a while, me playing with it. Yeah, I did it in Moho 12 and it's really weird. It seems like 13 might have broken something in it, even though it has a wind feature now. But yeah, you can make all kinds of really cool flags. I recommend looking up Pop Toogi's video on flag or waving cloth. That's the one I kind of used when I designed this. I saw it, what's it been, 2 years now since he released that one? A year or two ago he released that video, but it was for Moho 12 or I think Anime Studio, I'm not really sure which. It's a very useful tutorial. Recommend watching it if you're ever wanting to make flags. So, to just give you a nutshell what it is, you make a shape and make it on a grid, and then you add the bones to it to manipulate it. I, at the beginning, added way too many, and also they had some other issues that I didn't realize until the end, where they weren't actually connected with each other. So you'll see me playing with it here to make it look like it's waving. You might actually be able to tell in fast motion. I abandoned this eventually when I couldn't make it work because I had to just get this video out. I'm gonna see if I can get it working by next week. I also built it sideways, which was one mistake. I should have had the bones coming from the angle top down, but instead I did it from the edge because I still had the flag kind of thought in my mind. If anyone knows how the wind tool works in Moho, by the way, that would be very helpful. I thought I was using it right, but it wasn't moving anything. Another thing I tried to do with the king character was a line under his chin to separate his neck from his head, because it just kind of blended together. Then I went back to the queen design, which, if you didn't see my last video, which was a live stream actually, because I couldn't film last week's footage, I actually redesigned the queen and got this new one going. You saw that earlier in the video, which I kind of did a fast motion pace of, me kind of building this character. I spent quite a while trying to kind of design her hands, because I wanted something that looked kind of sharp, so to imply fingernails, but I didn't want something creepy. So I built 2 or 3 versions before I got one I was happy with. After that, I went over to the dress and added a little more detail to it to make it look like it had shading, and also added those line parts to make it look like cloth. Then I gave her a neck, shaded her chin, similar to how they did the king, and then I moved on to her crown, because her crown was the one thing I was unhappy with. I was happy with the size of it, but I wanted to give it detail similar to the old one. The old one was very elaborate though, and I felt like it was just overkill, so I kind of wanted to do a simpler design with this one. So I got a big gem, thought it was too big, shrank it down, and then changed the shape of it inevitably. I added some shine to it, and in this you can't tell because it's only in editing and you don't ever see a rendered image, but I actually added effects to it to make it look like it's an actual shine on it and not just a line. Then I drew these kind of embroidered designs on it to kind of imply like carvings. Made those kind of just wrap around the gems a little bit, and added a pearl on top. You're gonna notice the pearl here disappear in a minute. That's just because I was working on it and all of a sudden I masked the image and it just disappears for a solid 2 minutes of the video. After this, I just was trying to figure out a gem that would look really nice as a centerpiece. It doesn't look as good when it's zoomed out this far, but it would look good for like a lot of headshots because it would be like a unique gem. I then gave her a bracelet and moved on to kind of finishing up her crown and fixing it up. But yeah, this is kind of the final design. I really like how this turned out. I don't know what you guys think. I'd really like you to let me know what you think down in the comments. But yeah, until next week, I'm probably going to keep working on a few of these characters. I'm thinking about working on a horseman next because I had a really good design of those. I'm going to try and get the old designs pulled up better. I'm also going to try designing a wizard character, maybe a few locations, and a guard. And if I have time, I'm going to try and do a very short 10-second, maybe 20-second animation with these characters. I don't know what that animation is going to look like yet, but that's kind of what I'm hoping to do for next week.
Destruction!
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you want to know when I upload my next video, then don't forget to turn on notifications. And if you know someone who you think would enjoy this video, then please share it with them. Also, we have a Reddit page now, so please come ruin it with us.